So, with Kingdom Hearts 3 up and coming, I figured I'd hop on the bandwagon of people trying to tell you what the hell is going on. So let's get started, hoping I can get this done in the time it takes to do the Kingdom Hearts 1 tutorial. Alright, before we start any of the actual story, I'm going to tell you some key terms you'll need to remember going forwards, so make sure to take these to, well, heart. A heartless is a disembodied and corrupted soul or heart that lashes out at normal people. It can't be put down for good without a keyblade. A nobody is a body that has lost its soul or heart when it becomes a heartless. Emotionless and cold, it tries to steal normal people's hearts. A heart is a soul or emotions. Darkness is a corruptive power that if you fall to it, it can make you a heartless. It can often be used in good ways if you can control it. A keyblade is a weapon that can be either light or dark that reflects the heart of its user. It's the only thing that can really be used to put down heartless or nobodies, and it's inherited from user to user. If you've wielded a keyblade before or even touched one, you might be able to summon one for yourself later in your life. And light is a purifying element that's generally considered good, but if unbalanced can still be dangerous. Okay, this part is arguably canon. Kingdom Hearts X, or Key, is kind of iffy on whether it's a real part of the storyline, but I figure I'll mention it just in case it becomes relevant. There is a prophecy that there would be a colossal war between Keyblade wielders, foretold by someone called the Master of Masters, so he made a plan for what would come after. He gave 5 of his 6 apprentices, Ira, the leader, with the unicorn mask, Aced, with a bear mask, Envy, with a snake mask, Gula, with a leopard mask, and Ava, with a fox mask, copies of a book containing his prophecies, to be used to tell what would happen in the coming days, not to prevent them, but to minimize casualties and prepare for after the war, to rebuild anew before the master himself vanished without a trace. Eventually, 4 of the 5 apprentices with the copies of the Book of Prophecies fell into infighting over how best to save their world, whether it could be saved, whether they should listen to their master's advice and just prepare for after, and over a suspected traitor, which ironically is more or less what started the Keyblade War which ended their world. It was caused by a clash of light and darkness and different beliefs. Ava, taking her own instructions from the Master, sent Keyblade wielders of light away from this war, to save the light from being consumed within it, a group called the Dandelions after the plant's seeds scattering on the wind. His 6th apprentice, Luxu, was tasked to take the Keyblade No-Name, which held the Master of Masters' eye, and pass it down to other apprentices in the future, which allowed for the prophecies to be made in the first place, and he was tasked with a mysterious black box which he must never open. It's implied that Luxu was Xehanort and Eriquis' master, or the master of their master, or so on, as Xehanort has no name when he appears in Birth by Sleep. Whether any of that is canon, who knows, but what is known for certain is that there was a war fought over a source of power called Kingdom Hearts that fell into the darkness of the war, the loss of which shook this great world apart. In the aftermath, some kids with light in their hearts took the remnants and rebuilt a bunch of smaller worlds all separate from each other, so it wouldn't ever happen again. Many years later, Xehanort, an elderly Keyblade master, was deeply intrigued by this ancient power, and enticed by the sway of darkness, he decided to start another war so Kingdom Hearts would appear again. He took on an apprentice named Ventus and enticed him to embrace his darkness, but when he refused, he just tore it out of him to create a being called Vanitas. Ventus, left with next to no memories of what happened, and with Xehanort feeling he could still be useful, was brought to Xehanort's old companion, Master Eriquis, to train under him, as Vanitas kept wanting to kill him. There, Ventus trained alongside Eriquis' other 2 apprentices, Terra and Aqua. During Terra and Aqua's exam to become Keyblade Masters, Terra accidentally taps into the power of darkness, causing him to fail the exam where Aqua passed. With Xehanort's goading and the doubt clearly cast on him by Eriquis telling Aqua to follow him to make sure he stayed on the straight and narrow on his missions, he fell further into darkness, culminating when Eriquis found out about Xehanort's plot and regretfully tried to strike down Ventus to prevent it. Terra defeated Eriquis, mortally wounding him trying to save his longtime friend, before Xehanort finishes him off. Seeking to avenge Eriquis and conquer his darkness by force, Terra chases Xehanort to the Keyblade Graveyard, alongside Aqua, who had caught wind of these events while trying to find both Xehanort and Terra, and Ventus, who was goaded there by Vanitas, where they all fought. Xehanort forced Ventus and Vanitas to merge back together, creating the X-Blade, pronounced Key Blade. Yes, it's confusing. The door to Kingdom Hearts, forged by a heart of pure light and a heart of pure dark clashing directly. Ventus sacrifices his heart in the battle for control of the newly fused body, destroying the Keyblade. Meanwhile, Xehanort fights Terra on top of a nearby plateau, but upon finding his body old and frail, steals Terra's body, turning its hair white and eyes yellow. The clumsily named Terra Xehanort or Terranort, who I'll just continue to call Xehanort. Terra's will possesses his suit of armor and clashes with his old body, surprisingly defeating it, but unfortunately both are consumed by the light of the Keyblade's explosion before he can reclaim his body. Aqua, now the only one of the trio left as herself, is forced to try to clean up this awful mess and save her friends. She brings Ventus's now comatose body to her homeworld, and using Araquis's Keyblade, transforms it into a vast world named Castle Oblivion that none can properly navigate aside from her, hiding Ventus within until she can figure out how to restore his heart. The remnants of Ventus's heart in the meantime, seeking shelter after the explosion, lost and weak and adrift, find a young boy on a distant island named Sora and take refuge in his own heart. Aqua seeks out the possessed Terra to try and free him and ends up finding him in a world called Radiant Garden. Xehanort, desperate not to lose his new body and feeling Terra within stirring, trying to resist with Aqua's presence, casts himself into the realm of darkness in an attempt to quell Terra. Aqua dives in after him and, trying to save her friend, gives her own darkness-resisting armor and Keyblade to guide him out, where she's left behind, continuing on with Araquis's Keyblade, trapped in a realm of darkness for a long 10 years. Xehanort, now amnesiac from his near-death encounter, is found by the king of this world and researcher of the heart, Ansem the Wise, and becomes his apprentice. Dabbling deeper and deeper into dark research, Ansem the Wise attempts to stop Xehanort's experiments, but Xehanort and the rest of Ansem's apprentices betray him, as Xehanort takes on Ansem's name to continue the facade. Xehanort regains at least some of his memories and his ability to use the Keyblade during this time, as he once more seeks out Kingdom Hearts, this time looking to abduct 7 princesses with pure light in their hearts as the catalyst to clash with darkness to open the door. Feeling his body isn't strong enough for the task, as his full abilities as a Keyblade wielder hadn't returned, Xehanort casts his body aside, seeking to become stronger as a Heartless, but one that kept its mind from changing willingly. Keeping his stolen name, Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, was born. And so this evil Ansem sought to destroy enough worlds and capture the Princesses of Heart to unlock Kingdom Hearts. A young boy named Sora, the one Ventus's heart took refuge in, lived peacefully on a world called Destiny Islands alongside his friends Riku and Kairi. The three had a wanderlust and wanted to visit other worlds, but the night before they were about to set out, in a raft, which totally wouldn't have worked, their world was consumed by the Heartless. Riku, who had met Terra earlier in his life, was destined to become a Keyblade wielder, but when he was about to awaken that potential, he gave in to the sway of darkness as he saw it as a way to escape his island, and so the Keyblade was passed on to Sora instead, the next potential wielder due to holding Ventus's heart. Kairi, one of the Princesses of Heart, was claimed by the darkness as their world was lost, as Sora found himself awakening in a new world, where he met Donald and Goofy, a mage and a knight tasked to find and protect the Keyblade wielder by King Mickey, who sought out a specific Keyblade himself. Mickey had learned how to wield a Keyblade around the same time as Aqua, Terra, and Ventus. The trio wandered from world to world, solving problems along the way, and ran into Riku once or twice, who turned increasingly antagonistic, jealous of the Keyblade, and having Maleficent whisper poison in his ear as he sought to restore Kairi's heart himself. This wasn't Maleficent's intention, as she wanted the same thing as the bad Ansem. Finally confronting Maleficent and Riku in Hollow Bastion, the remnants of Ansem the Wise's former kingdom, Riku briefly steals his Keyblade back from Sora, who ultimately recovers it with his strength of heart. Out of desperation and humiliation, when a dark voice speaks into his mind, Riku accepts it, taking it in, being possessed by the bad Ansem, who casts Maleficent aside as a pawn and reveals that the Princess of Hearts' hearts had all taken refuge within Sora's own, much like Ventus after meeting him. After defeating Riku and learning this, Sora sacrificed himself, freeing all of the hearts within his own and becoming a Heartless. Riku struggled against Ansem to save Kairi and the others while they ran, who cast him into the realm of darkness for his efforts. The now heartless Sora wandered the bastion for a bit, barely remembering a thing, until he encountered Donald, Goofy, and the revived Kairi, who he attempted to protect from other Heartless, even in his new state. Recognizing him, Kairi embraces him, her powers as a Princess of Light somehow creating a new body for him, and fully restoring his heart to its previous state. Going forwards, Sora went on to confront Ansem at a world made of the remnants of all others, and defeated him. Out of desperation, Ansem opened the door to darkness, a door to the part of the realm of darkness containing the new pseudo-Kingdom Hearts he created, and is horrified to find that despite being steeped in darkness, the hearts of the worlds he destroyed were still radiating light which destroyed him. But the darkness that those now escaped hearts were steeped in began to flow out, as Sora, Donald, and Goofy struggled to close the door. On the other side, Mickey, after finding his way into the realm of darkness, ran into Aqua at long last, who was in pretty bad shape for being there for 10 years. They make their way through the realm, fighting Heartless, and seeking the door to darkness. Ultimately, Mickey finds the dark counterpoint to Sora's Keyblade, the other key that's needed to close the door. Stumbling into Riku, who is running towards the door, Aqua sees a great pillar of Heartless about to attack the boy, and leaps into action, defending him, but once more is dragged deeper into the realm of darkness for her efforts, lost to Mickey and Riku, who help Sora to finally close the door, Riku telling Sora to take care of Kairi, as he's trapped in the realm of darkness with the king. With the heart of the worlds restored, the world therein, made of the remnants of the others, began to pull itself apart as they reformed, with Kairi and Sora separated, Kairi being left on the reforming Destiny Islands, as Sora makes it his mission to save Riku now that he knows Kairi is safe. In their search for Riku and the king after the Door of Darkness is closed, they stumble across Castle Oblivion, the world created by Aqua to protect Ventus, now controlled by a group of nobodies called Organization 13. A motionless shell is left behind when a Heartless is formed, who have a gimmick of adding an X to their original names then scrambling it. The trio falls under their sway due to a girl called Namine, who is Kairi's nobody from when her own heart was stolen, and has the power to manipulate Sora's memories. They also have to contend with the clone the group made of Riku, who due to Namine believes he's the real deal. Unknown to the trio, Riku and Mickey also found their way into Castle Oblivion, starting in the basement and working their way out, where Sora started at the ground floor and worked his way up. Marluxia, the nobody in charge of Castle Oblivion, tried to lead a group to betray the true leader of the organization, Xemnas, but they were ultimately defeated by Sora and another nobody who struck him down for his treachery called Axel. Meanwhile, Riku and Mickey make their way out, where they find a man who calls himself Diz, who gives the two black coats, like those the organization used to protect themselves from the darkness. At the top, Sora talks with Namine, who reveals that in order for him to fix his memories, he needs to go into a deep, near-year-long sleep, and forget what happened in Castle Oblivion. He agrees and is put into a long slumber. Meanwhile, a young man named Roxas awakens in a world between light and dark, the place where all nobodies first awaken, Twilight Town. He's Sora's nobody from when he became a Heartless, but looks like Ventus, likely possessing Ventus's heart after it was freed. He's taken in by the organization, and with very few memories, and not knowing much better, does their bidding, slaying Heartless. As he slays Heartless, he makes yet another Kingdom Hearts, this one created by the hearts of thousands of slain Heartless. Between missions, he becomes fast friends with Axel and another Keyblade wielder named Shion, who seems to share the same Keyblade as he does. However, with Roxas getting stronger, Shion grows weaker, and when Shion grows stronger, Roxas grows weaker. Eventually, it's revealed that she's a kind of clone made up from Sora's memories stolen in Castle Oblivion, causing her to resemble Kairi but with black hair. Upon encountering Riku and being told about Sora, she realizes she needs to sacrifice herself if he's ever going to wake up, as she's absorbed too many of his scrambled memories. Ultimately, resolute in what she has to do, but depressed, she confronts Roxas, fighting him to try to take him to Sora as well. When she loses, her existence becomes unstable as her memories fade and go back to Sora, and people begin forgetting she even existed, fulfilling her name, Shion, number I, the imaginary number of the organization. Roxas, with his memories fading, desperately seeks a way to bring Shion back, heading towards the Kingdom Hearts the two created to destroy it to Axel's dismay, who had truly begun to see him as a friend. Riku, not willing to risk the organization doing something to Roxas where Sora may not be recovered, confronts Roxas and, embracing the darkness once more, defeats him, taking on the form of Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, but this time retaining his sense of self. Roxas is brought by Riku back to Diz, who with Namine's help is seeking to help wake Sora up, and is placed in a fake digital landscape as Sora's memories are extracted from him. Axel is ordered to bring him back. Ultimately, Roxas defeats Axel despite the regrets at finally remembering him, as Axel retreats. Roxas, finding Sora sleeping in this digital world, dismays at losing his sense of self, but ultimately gives in to Diz's demands, merging with Sora. Sora wakes up in the real version of the world Roxas was in, nearly a full year after Castle Oblivion's events, and upon wandering around a few worlds, finds out that the Nobai counterpart to Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, Xemnas, is once more seeking to create a Kingdom Hearts. With every Heartless Sora defeats, ultimately protecting the local people and himself, he brings the organization ever closer to their goal. Pursuing both the organization and Riku, and then Kairi when she's kidnapped to the organization's headquarters by Axel as bait, Sora finally finds his way to their world with the help of a repenting Axel who sees his old friend Roxas in Sora and sacrifices himself to help him get there. Once there, Sora finds Riku and Kairi, though he's obviously a bit wary at Riku's appearance at first, and Diz tries to take revenge on Xemnas, revealing that he was in fact the returned Ansem the Wise, who deeply regrets taking on Xehanort as an apprentice when he saw the signs of his darkness far sooner. Trying to repent from his mistakes, he attempts to digitize this new Kingdom Hearts much as he did Roxas, but the sheer number of hearts overloads his machine, causing him to vanish, and surprisingly returns Riku to his true form. Riku and Sora go on to confront Xemnas, and ultimately defeat him. After a brief trip through the Realm of Darkness, they find their way back to Destiny Islands, where they're greeted by Kairi, who welcomes them home. Then there was this weird thing with the digital Sora in the group's journal, and it's pretty much irrelevant to the whole plot, aside from a digital version of Naminé who is the one that changed the journal, letting Sora know that he's capable of restoring many things that are lost, largely alluding to Roxas, Xion, Ventus, Aqua, and Terra. And finally, Sora and Riku take their own Mark of Mastery exam to become Keyblade Masters themselves, delving deep into the realm of sleep to awaken worlds that, while restored when Ansem was defeated, were left in a kind of state of slumber. Delving deeper and deeper with the help of odd creatures called Dream Eaters and fighting other creatures called Nightmares, they come face to face with several manifestations of organization members and Xehanort. He soon reveals it was a trap all along, as he wanted Sora as a vessel for his heart, and he's capable of using the letter X to track people, which is why organization members all had it in their names. He also reveals that nobodies eventually regenerate their hearts, so he was leading the organization on all along. Xehanort seeks to make 13 versions of himself, through either splitting into a nobody and heartless or possession. This is his master plan for Kingdom Hearts, a clash between 7 lights and 13 darknesses. Sora's body is nearly stolen, but Lee, the newly restored original Axel who was reborn when both Axel the Nobody and his Heartless were defeated, saves the day. Ultimately, Xehanort's plans are delayed for the time being, but it looks like this Keyblade War is inevitable once more. Waking up, Riku is revealed to have passed the Mark of Master exam, where Sora failed due to nearly falling to darkness, but he shakes off and congratulates Riku. Sora heads out and seeks out a way to save all of the Keyblade wielders that came before him, while Kairi and Lee train as new Keyblade wielders, Kairi having inherited the ability accidentally from Aqua. And as for why there are so many Xehanorts in one place, turns out he can time travel. Both young Xehanort and the elderly Master Xehanort were there. The only real requirement is that you can only go to the past if you have no body, so you must either be a Heartless or a Stray Heart, and then you can grant that power to other versions of yourself. So Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, was the catalyst for it all. The only catch is that you forget everything you learned when you return to your original time period, though residual feelings from it can slightly taint your outlook, which is why Xehanort became a villain to start with. And that about does it. I left out a few small details, like stuff with Maleficent and Pete after she came back, and she has her own thing going for being a villain, looking for the Book of Prophecies. Pretty much all the organization members are back too, because while they were defeated as nobodies, when a nobody and the Heartless that was originally the heart of the nobody are both slain, the original person is restored. As for the plot of all the individual Disney worlds, well, they're their usual plots pretty much, just with Sora tossed in haphazardly. You don't really need summaries of that. And that about does it. I hope this helps for everyone who is struggling with the plot of Kingdom Hearts, or just for people who were looking to get introduced with the series in the first place or needed a refresher even. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you in my own Let's Play of Kingdom Hearts 3. And for those who are playing it themselves, have fun, guys.